Hello everyone, this is B.Sowmya working as Assistant Professor in Department of Computer Science, KSRCAS. In this video, I would like to present a few concepts related to machine learning. So, machine learning becomes a part of our daily life, that is we would have heard the terms related to artificial intelligence, data science, data analytics, big data and all these things. So, in this one of the related terms machine learning. So, we shall see what is machine learning. Machine learning is all about teaching a computer how to learn the data to make decisions or predictions. And then it can be considered as a subfield of artificial intelligence, and then a category, you can also say it is a category of algorithm that allows the software applications to predict the outcomes without being explicitly programmed. Then the main goal of machine learning is that it identifies the data and then it finds the structure or pattern of the data and fit those data into the models that are required and it can be utilized by the people. The term machine learning is coined by Arthur Samuel in the year 1959. According to Arthur Samuel, he gives us a statement that machine learning gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So, it means that we train the machines, we make the machines to learn the data, and based on the data it should make the predictions and decisions. So, what is, as we already saw that machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence. So, what is artificial intelligence? Many of us would have known that it refers to the machines. The machine should have the potential ability to replicate the cognitive capabilities that imitate the human mind. In colloquial word, we can say that it is about replicating human mind's capabilities. So, what is cognitive capability of a machine? So, cognitive ability is nothing but the problem solving and learning ability of the machine. As a continuation, we shall see that the any machine that has artificial intelligence should be capable of understanding and interpreting the data. It should have the ability to learn the data. Based on the data learned, it should make intelligent decisions based on the patterns and the insights that are hidden within the data. So, this shows that what are the evolution up to present era. So, we are in the era of deep learning. So, when we consider the artificial intelligence and the machine learning, certain questions or few questions would have raised. So, what are they? How are we as human beings doing this? So, machine learning, let us consider an example. When we consider a human being, for example, a girl, we will recognize a girl using some identification. For example, with the black hair. So, certain questions we have to think of, how are we as human beings doing this? So, we as human beings, we recognize, when we want to recognize a person, we can remember certain descriptions about a person. For example, consider a girl. We can describe a girl as she is having black hair, brown eyes, she is tall, slim, and she is with fair complexion likewise. So, these descriptions may fit to more than one girl. Two or more girls can have the same description, but our mind, our brain recognizes this girl is A, this girl is B, and so on. So, our brain has some features that recognize and differentiate those persons with similar descriptions. And another question we can consider, how do we instruct a computer for doing this? So, machine learning helps the computers to perform this. For example, if you want to give an input to an machine, for example, we can give images as input to a machine. The machine learns the features of the image and then it produces the output based on the statistical algorithms. As a whole, the algorithms, that is the training algorithms, that are statistical algorithms, helps us to train the models and predict the results or the decisions. So, there are two types of data when considering this machine learning. There are two types of data or data set. One is the training data and another one is the testing data. So, training data is nothing but the initial data that is used to train the machine learning models. We can say this training data or trained data is nothing but the labeled data. We give some labels. For example, I want to identify an animal, I can give it as a training data by providing some of the features related to that particular image. We can say it as a training data. Next is the testing data. Testing data, we can say it as an unlabeled data or set of data based on the examples we can provide to the trained models. So, it can be seen as the unseen data to test the model, and also it is used to evaluate the performance of the algorithms we have used to predict the results. How machine learning works? So, machine learning creates statistical programs called models. Those models are provided with inputs to give the required output. They provide these examples to the learning algorithms or else training algorithms. So, the examples in the sense we can provide the data in the form of images, video, music, text, etc., whatever we want. Training algorithms take those examples and train the models. Once the training is completed, they take an unlabeled data and test it. So, we are providing the examples to the training algorithms. Already we will be modeling, we will model our machine by providing models. We train the machine in the sense that if we provide an input in any of the form, that input is predicted by the model and then it produces us the output. So, based on this training, we provide examples. The examples are nothing but the unlabeled data or the test data. These test data are provided to the training algorithms. These training algorithms provide these data along with this algorithm to the model, and then it produces the output based on the new data provided. So, for example, I have taken an girl image. So, when you provide this, already my machine will be trained up to recognize based on the features. When I provide an image, it is an image of a girl. So, when I provide an image, my model test it and predict it as a girl. Then some of the methods we could have seen about machine learning. So, the categories are based on how learning is received by the machine or how feedback on the learning is given to the system developed. So, there are three methods. One is supervised learning, another one is unsupervised learning, and the third one is reinforcement learning. So, let us see each of them in detail. So, this is an diagrammatic representation of the models of methods of machine learning. So, I have given here the supervised learning, some examples like classification, regression, diagnostics and fraud detection on these basis. And then unsupervised learning, we can consider clustering and then dimensionality recognition and reinforcement learning, robot navigation and so on. So, supervised learning, the machine is trained using algorithms based on the examples or the labeled data. It is labeled by the humans, and then the artificial intelligence system, it is presented with the data that is labeled, which means that each data is tagged with a label. Suppose I want to identify an image of an animal, say cat, it is tagged with the name and the features. So, the goal of this supervised learning is nothing but the approximation of the mapping function, so that when a new input data is given, it predicts and predicts the output variables for that data. So, the purpose of this method is that the algorithm should be able to learn by comparing the actual input along with the taught inputs to find the errors. This is also useful for predicting the performance of the algorithms. For example, when an educator teaches us something, we write the test, and based on the test results, we identify whether we have trained properly, whether we have fed or we have predicted or we have given the output what we have been trained so far. So, according to that, the machine tests itself based on the training examples. So, supervised learning therefore uses patterns to predict label values on additional unlabeled data. So, we can say as a common example of supervised learning is that to use historical data for providing the statistical features. And then we can use it for mainly for stock market information for predicting the future analysis, or we can use it to employ the filter out the spam emails. So, there are this is an example for supervised learning. So, this is our machine. It is trained with the two types of input. One is the spam mail and another one is the not spam mail. So, it is trained and it gives the input. We are giving a new mail as the test data. So, our system predicts and performs a categorical separation. The new input, new mail in our inbox is separated into spam and not spam. This can be another example of supervised learning, in the sense we are having some labeled data. So, the collection of data consists of hexagons, squares and triangles, and we have provided as a user we provided the labels. This is hexagon, these features say that this is the triangle, this is the square, and then the model is trained in such a way that to predict the test data. So, we have provided the test data as square and triangle. Based on the training, the model predicts as that this shape is square and this shape is triangle. So, there are two categories of supervised learning. One is classification and another one is regression. So, classification is nothing but categorizing a set of data into certain classes or groups what we have trained. And then, for example, we can say when you want to identify a disease in a plant, the final classification may be this is a diseased plant or this is undiseased plant, likewise. And then a regression problem is purely based on the real values. For example, when I am providing a data, say music, I want to find out the percentage of emotion available what I am listening to that music, then it gives us a real value. So, those types of problems can be considered as regression and it can be trained using supervised learning. Then is unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning is machine is trained up, but not in such a way that we are giving the features, we are not training it up. That is, it presented with unlabeled and uncategorized data, and the system algorithms act on the data without prior training. So, how it classifies or how it predicts, in the sense based on the coded algorithms. The goal of this unsupervised learning is straightforward, that is, some hidden patterns within the data set is identified, and the goal of this learning is the computation machine to automatically classify the raw data. So, this is an example for unsupervised learning. As an input of raw data and unlabeled data, a set of animal images are given. It consists of both images of cats and dogs. This is interpreted to our model. Based on the algorithm, some pre-processing will be done and it classifies it as dogs and cats. So, it provides us the output, but without prior training. This is another example of unsupervised training. As an input, we are having a set of cartoon images. Here I want to classify what are ducks and not ducks. My algorithm based on the unsupervised learning will classify those images as ducks and this is as not ducks, whatever image it is. So, there are two types of unsupervised learning. One is clustering and another one is association. So, clustering is nothing but groupings based on the similarities, and then we can say that if you want to discover the inherent groupings in the data, we can say, for example, when you consider the e-commerce sites, we can classify based on the browsing history of the user or the customer, we can consider the purchasing behavior of a customer. And then association rule is nothing but to discover rules that describe the large portions of our data. So, consider that an example, if a person buys X, he would also buys Y. That is, an association rule is framed if X then Y. For example, when a customer buys shoes, he also will buy socks, likewise. The third type of method is the reinforcement learning. The reinforcement learning uses an agent. It learns by interacting with its environment. So, if it works properly or correctly in the environment, it will be rewarded. If it is not working properly, it will be given penalty. So, the agent learns without human intervention by maximizing the rewards and minimizing the penalty. Without human intervention, it keeps on learning to get the final output or prediction. It is a type of dynamic programming that trains algorithms using a system of reward or punishment. So, this is an example that we can consider an agent. So, it first observes the environment and it uses, that is, one is that the fire and another one is the water, which is not safe. So, it takes the action that if it touches the fire, it is bad. So, the action, select action using some policy or based on some algorithm, this action is predicted. Suppose it touches the fire, it is bad. So, the points, it gets the penalty. So, it should identify, it should train itself, it should be trained up itself that it should be avoided, on touching the fire is to be avoided. So, that is given here. So, the policy is keeping on updating, the steps get learnt, and based on several iterations an optimal policy will be found to get the better results. So, we saw some concepts related to machine learning. We shall say an example, live example for this machine learning is what is familiar to us as Amazon Alexa. So, Amazon Alexa, it works on the based on machine learning, is that it predicts based on the question of the user, what the user will ask information for, and it provides the richer user experience to the customers. So, we can say it as an example. So, that is all with this. In the next video, we shall see some more interesting features related to artificial intelligence. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all once again.